his name?
You're locked into JJ and Alex. With the insight and analysis on the teams you can't live without. Presented by G2G Bars. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, settle down. You don't know this, but JJ puts his hair up for TV. He actually has a mullet most of the time.
I'm like John Clayton. Rest in peace.
I'm done with my segment, Mom.
Done with my segment.
He eats that Chinese food, jumps on his bed. Hey, some Freebird. What's funny is Freebird got like a big boost. I think a lot of classic rock tunes and just kind of like Guitar Hero brought back a lot for folks, right?
It did.
So I'm glad. To the people at Guitar Hero, a salute because you brought a different generation of music to some of the younger crowd. So there you go. Let me see here. JJ, first of all, welcome back to the program, everybody. JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Every Monday through Friday, 3 to 7 right here on your dial. If you miss any portion of it, all of our shows all day long, including all the segments broken up for you to be able to listen to for free. You just go to KSLSports.com, click on the podcast button. You can get all the shows and all the segments right there, or you can download the podcast wherever podcasts are found. There you go. Our program brought to you by G2G Bars. All natural ingredients and no preservatives make the G2G Bar the perfect protein bar. Let's kick off the hour, a little bit of hockey talk here as we had the final back and forth with the media with Bill Armstrong, Chris Armstrong, of course, also the president of Hockey Ops, and then also Bear, Coach Tourigny, taking a turn at the microphone as well. But we already heard they're going to be working their tails off in the offseason. No rest for the wicked. Got to keep this thing going here. And let's kick things off with the cut like we do every hour, and let's do it.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
And this portion of the show brought to you by an incredible selection of Kia, Subaru, Chevy, Jeep, Dodge, or Ram, and now the Mitsubishi brand added to the family of the Doug Smith dealerships in American Fork, Spanish Fork, and now in Linden, where you can find their Kia dealership. So there you go. Nobody knows cars like Doug. All right, JJ, the exit interviews now for the top brass at the hockey club. We got to talk with Coach Tourigny, of course, last Friday, and he told us straight up, no, I mean, if you want to call working 6 days a week, taking it easy in the offseason, then yeah, there you go.
It's probably there right now.
They're going to be dipping in, of course, all year long and going back and forth, and as he said, too, this is a fluid situation with Bill Armstrong and their front office because they have been talking all year long about the needs of this team. They go back and forth about which guys are going to be the culture guys who live here and stay here and play here for as long as they can keep them. They're obviously having those personnel discussions in the other direction too, JJ. You have to have those discussions about who works here, who doesn't. And they're having those discussions. Here's what Bill Armstrong said in their final media interviews about the future of, I know a lot of people have been asking about him, but Connor Ingram and what that looks like for the team.
A lot of it is unknown. When players go into the program, we don't have any contact with them. It's hard for us to speculate, but the good news for us right now as we sit here in this room is we know he's in a good place at the program, and we wish him the best. I know I'd like to say also to the fans that just had the outreach. I know they put a big card together for him and just sent wonderful messages to them, so we do appreciate that. And, you know, we'll see how that transpires later on, but it's tough to speculate right now.
That was one thing we had the discussion with. I think it was a Travis Yost on Thursday, right, where he said you can't help but wonder if one of your big priorities is going to go out and find a solid second goaltender, which is exactly how platooning in the league is something that happens. I mean, more when we were kids. Patrick Waugh never came out of a freaking game ever, right? Like, it was pretty rare, right? Like
nobody knew who the Canadian second goaltender was. That's for sure.
That's what I'm saying. Like, when you had those rock-solid goalies.
It's kind of like pitching in baseball, right?
Yes. And now it's different because they'll have nights where they go, hey, yeah, we're giving him the night off. We're starting this kid. We're going to do this. And I don't know if Kevin Stauber's that guy to be your second goalie.
Is Valta that guy, or are they going to go out and sign a free agent?
It's all up in the air.
Maybe it's Connor. Maybe Connor's back. I mean, we want to, like he said, don't want to speculate. We hope he's back, but I'm sure Connor Ingram's been through a lot, and he's in a tough spot. I don't know what I don't know what his future means. He may not know what his future is.
Look, they signed up Veggie.
You got to make some tough decisions because of that.
Yeah, he signed up Veggie for a long-term deal. He's your guy.
He's the man.
But that in this age of hockey is not the end all of how you're going to figure out your goalie situation. We're not just talking about backups. You're talking about guys that are going to take, a third of the season to play. So here was what Bill said also about making the team better, not just through free agency, but also with the draft.
There's a sadness in the air because you're not in the playoffs, and that's on your TV every single night. But it's also a motivation for our group to get to that level, and you do that through planning and drafting. And I have a firm belief that my job's not that complicated in one sense. You just get one good player and stack them on another good player and another player, and soon enough you have a great team. And that starts with the draft, and we'll be focusing in on getting some good players out of the draft like we've done in the past.
I am really excited about not just what the draft brings, but what this next year is going to bring. Because now that we have a year under our belt and you know what the first, second, third, and fourth lines looked like for this team and the importance of guys on every one of those lines and how important it was to have those groups solidified and some of the moments where you had some moments of weakness on those lines and you know exactly where you want to try to improve. I guarantee imagine looking at a board and you have 4 or 5 lines built out on every one of those spots, and you have a circle around places where you're like, this is a gap for us. This is a weak spot for us. And so if you can not just stack up really, really good players, but on top of it, build those phenomenal lines together that can have that chemistry that obviously needs to get built, that's a huge deal too. One of the big moments of the offseason for this team is going to be when that July 1st free agency window opens, and whether or not you're going to see Logan Cooley, the young hot shot on this team that I think a lot of people want to see here for a long, long time and could play in the league very effectively for a long, long time and could be that next superstar, is Logan Cooley, and what that looks like for signing him up long term. Here's what Bill Armstrong said about that.
Obviously, it's a mutual thing that you get together with the player and the agent and get down to work. There's a lot of comparables out there for a player like that. So we're looking forward to those talks. He's a great young player in our organization. We've had success in getting the Dylan Guenther contract done, so we'll definitely look at it, and we'll update you as we move along in the summer. But there's certainly no rush at this point. There's other priorities. Not that Logan's not a huge priority, but it's just the way it rolls, and we'll deal with it at some point in time in the summer.
What do you think? So Guenther, of course, signing the 8-year deal, which I think is crazy now. You start to look at it and you go,
hockey's different.
Hockey is different, right? And you're looking at almost or just over $7 million a year now for Dylan Guenther. I don't know. I think you're just going to end up seeing a similar number, right?
Yeah.
For Logan Cooley,
right.
If not a little bit more. When he says there's a lot of comps out there for a guy like Logan Cooley, you can look right across the ice and see what Dylan Guenther's contract is and goes and say that's about what we're looking at, over $7 million a year for a really young, lots of years and lots of life left on those skates, and hopefully lots of points, hundreds of points still left out there. That's what you're going to sign these guys up for, and so hopefully they can get them long term.
That's, I'm sure, the goal, and I'm sure that number is probably. His Cooley's number may be a little bit more than what the club's is. They'll figure it out. But like you said, there's a lot of comps out there. A lot of guys that age know what they're going to get. It's a matter of getting it done. There was no urgency in Bill Armstrong's voice because I think they know they're going to sign him. I think Logan knows he's going to sign. They want it to get done. They'll get it done when it's appropriate to get it done. So I don't think anybody needs to worry about Logan Cooley wanting to leave.
Boy.
And that's crazy to think, to just add on to that you could have Cooley and Guenther together for the next 8 years doing what they're doing and growing at the pace that they're growing at. You're going to have two of the top. I mean, outside of maybe the New Jersey Devils and the Blackhawks, you're probably looking at one of the best young cores in the league out there, right? Really, really good players that are young, that have a long future ahead together.
The entry-level contract, by the way, for rookies in the NHL, even for a guy like Connor Bedard, who, when he first came to the league, I mean, you're talking about a $2 million entry-level contract, and he's like a generational talent, right?
Yeah.
Macklin Celebrini was the same thing, right? But these rookie deals, again, the NHL is different. They're like, hey man, guess what? This is what you're bringing. Now, then they signed in addition to that, a 3-year, $13.5 million contract because they're like, we kind of know what we're getting with this guy, but you have that base level. And so initially he was getting that $950 a year, right? And that got up to 4.5. But again, one of the best talents in the entire league, and he's getting paid from a young talent standpoint. He's getting paid $4.5 million a year, and so that's what you're looking at is a guy like Logan Cooley. When you wonder how good he is and how quickly he's come along, he's 20 years old, and he has the potential of being a 100-point scorer at some point in the next few years. That's what they're anticipating.
And Gunther, too. So there's your pair of 100-point scorers on your roster.
You hope.
That are going to be the face.
So here's what Coach said. Bear Tourigny talking about improvement from the young team, and it is a very young team. And so I think that the ceiling's pretty high.
Right now, the process is the good one. Every time we want to now get a little bit better in our result. The performance has to sustain and even improve. We're not satisfied by any means. We recognize the progress. We recognize what's been done. But we will keep getting better in our process. Second youngest team in the league, that's sometimes what you get. You don't have always the result you want. You don't have what you want to show for.
That's pretty encouraging to hear that this is the second youngest team in the league and that they were on the cusp of being in the playoffs, and they were almost a 90-point team, and you saw the bright spots, and you saw moments too where this team the lights were a little bit too bright in some of the I think there was a moment there during early March, between the end of February, early March, where the team was trying to figure some things out that you were like, oof, this isn't good, right? But part of it was, hey, it's a young team. They got to figure a lot of stuff out here. And I think that they will. And again, to have the success that they're having, to have that type of potential to be the second youngest team in the league and to still almost be on the cusp of making the Western Conference playoff is kind of an indicator, I think, as to where this team is, and interested to see what the next steps are. Hey, the classic questions about how is it being in Utah compared to Arizona?
Oh, no.
Here's what Coach said about the ownership changeover. At the very least, it's been a breath of fresh air.
When you go somewhere and you feel people want you, that makes you feel really, really damn good. It's tough to not get out of your bed and be excited. You're excited. Let's get better today. Let's get at it. And I think that's credit to the people I just mentioned before, from our player to our ownership, but especially the fans.
Along those same lines, bringing up the community and how much it's meant for this fan base too, to be able to not just get to know hockey, but to embrace his team.
People were talking about how much they embrace hockey. They didn't know hockey, and now they love the game. They love the team, and they love to come at the game and all that stuff. I think you never know. You're going in a new city. People were talking about the culture of hockey. It's not the same than others. And we didn't feel that at all. We didn't feel we were kind of unknown or whatever. We really feel the people embrace our team and how excited they were. So I think there's a lot to talk about that.
When I was a kid, and maybe it was because the Stars moved to Dallas when I was, a teenager, but like I had tremendous interest. And again, pretty good when you have one of the best players, if not the best player all time of the sport. Wayne Gretzky was moving from Edmonton to L.A., and that was like a weird, interesting moment in hockey. But to have those moments when Mario Lemieux is having the success at Pittsburgh, and you watch these teams and they're having the success. And I grew up I grew up watching a lot of the Stanley Cup playoffs, but that's when people like me dipped in, was only during the Stanley Cup playoffs. And when you got a team locally in Dallas, that was a huge deal, but they were nowhere near being able to be a playoff type team or even a cup contending team. And that's a team now that has a Stanley Cup playoff or a Stanley Cup banner in their building. You know what I mean? Like teams in Florida that have those places have no business raising a Stanley Cup. If you ask the old traditional heads of hockey, but
now they've won 3 of the last 5.
Yes. And so it's not just that Vegas has a freaking Stanley Cup,
and they won one. Yeah.
And if I was if you tell that to 15-year-old me, I'd be like, Vegas has a professional team. Remember how wild that was to think that there would be a...
Even when they announced that Vegas was getting one, I was like, why?
What?
What
are
is
we
this?
talking about? What kind of a move is this?
Who's going to show up for that in Vegas? Well, now
And
we know.
they have.
Now in Utah, we understand it.
Let me tell you, too, what happens when you have success at that level, having been in Florida where the Panthers won their Stanley Cup, and then that's when the community said, we're officially now adopting you as our... It almost took that to really fill the building up. And we don't have to have that here. You don't have to tell our fans here in Utah to be excited about a team. And I don't think it's just first-year excitement stuff either. You're going to see this long, long term here. And the potential of this team is tremendous. So excited about it, excited to see what Bear's going to do with this team. And finally, here's what he said about the team and how they're going to get better. It's one thing to say, we love it here, it's awesome. If you don't perform in any of the big sports, you're not going to be around much longer. And I think this is a guy who knows we got to get better.
What I like about what we did, if I look back a couple of years ago, we needed a player, no matter what. If you're a good player, we're happy to have you. Now we're looking for specific area of our game to be better, specific area, which that will be touched later on. But I'm not sure that's for the public. I don't want the GM and the coach on the other side to know exactly what we're looking for.
Ooh, that's juicy. And that's always fun, right? I'm not willing to talk about what we need right now. We know what it is. It's very specific. And then we start guessing. I don't know what that is, but
We're going to spend the whole offseason trying to figure it out.
sounds exciting.
I like that.
Look, you saw what the draft brought last year, which was a massive amount of excitement. And guess what they were on draft night? And the reason we did 7 hours instead of 2.5 or 3, like we thought it was going to be, is because they started making moves. They moved up in the draft. As soon as we heard that they were moving up in the draft and they took TJ Ginla at number 6 overall, then we all start doing all this math. We start going, oh, man. So they come in and they start making moves, and you start to get to know who these young players are. It's an awesome time to be a fan.
Day 2, they made the Sergachev trade.
Yeah. They were
busy, and it's going to be like that again this offseason.
It's all been exciting, beyond exciting. As a brand new, fan base here, you had more than enough storylines to get excited about this team. And, I love that these guys were pissed that they didn't make the playoffs because nobody really expected them to, except for probably them. Right?
Yeah, that changes next year, though. How are they all going to react to that? And how are the fans going to react to believing a team should make the Cup playoffs? It'll be a different dynamic next year.
Oh, for sure. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We've got
Good luck to the Mammoth.
We've got the Mammoth. Yeah, you're already crowning them? You know something we don't, JJ?
Brown burger, baby.
All right. We'll take the break. We'll come back. We'll give you a breakdown of how these first few games of the NBA playoffs have gone. If you are anticipating a 50-plus point win by the Thunder in their first go with this edition of this team, then, you got what you expected. How is this team going to react in Game 2 then? How is Ja Morant going to figure it out? Because you can say you're never going to play that badly again, which is what he did, but can you pull it off? We'll talk about the NBA playoffs next, right here at 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Your home for the best coverage of the Jazz, Utes, and Cougars is right here on The Zone. This is JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, the official theme song of the NBA, of course, with lyrics.
The way it should be, the way it was intended.
You can't have lyrics when you're on TV with it, like to open the show. That's why you get the instrumental version of the real version, which is what you just heard. The Tesh Brothers. Hey, by the way.
You didn't bring a tiny hammer to work, did you?
Do you believe in karma?
Leave that home.
Listen to me. JJ, last hour, all but guaranteed that Cooper Flagg was going to be coming to Utah. What did you didn't want to get you didn't want to be the guy who brings the bad juju, right? By saying it's probably going to happen. Nobody wants to be that person, but I feel confident that if we do this, you log on to KSLSports.com, you raise money for a great cause, and that is every dollar that's donated to the 2-for-1, the KSL Sports 2-for-1, every dollar and cent donated is going to go straight to Intermountain Primary Children's Hospital. So those good vibes. So we're raising money for a good cause. At the same time, look, other states can have actual lotteries. Don't throw that money away at that. throw your money at a good cause, because at the very least, if they don't get a certain person in the first pick of the draft, you still know that this team is going to be able to, or you still know that this franchise is going to have the good vibes, right? And we're going to have those good feelings being able to donate to Intermountain Primary Children's Hospital. Go online to KSLSports.com right now. Donate those $2 today. By the way, so many people donating more than $2, and we just appreciate that so much because, like I said, we have that awesome relationship with the folks at Intermountain Primary Children's Hospital here in this building, and we're going to keep that going, and we love it. So go donate for the KSL Sports 2-for-1. Let's see if we can land a big fish right here in the state of Utah. Speaking of big fish going to a big pond. Jimmy Butler helping the Warriors. How about 31 from Steph? How about 25 from Jimmy Butler? That's exactly why they brought him in. JJ and the Rockets looked very, very – if you're the Warriors, you're like, I love playing an inexperienced – yeah, they're the 2 seed in the playoffs. Who freaking cares? We're the dang Warriors. We have all this experience, and that paid off exactly the way that you predicted that it would.
Speaking of experience, I can't help but wonder, did they try to angle for the 7 seed? I mean, it's pretty tricky. It's not exactly easy to do, but towards the end of the season, did you think they were like, you know what? We don't mind being in the play-in. We'll host a game.
Yeah.
We'd like to be that 7 seed because this is the matchup we want.
Right. I don't think you sign up to play more games. Who's the 3 seed? Remind me who the 3 seed is.
The Lakers.
So, Timberwolves, Lakers, because the Lakers they've got LeBron and Luka. I get it.
You know what they don't have? A rim protector.
Yeah, they don't have a big man. They're missing Anthony Davis,
and
for sure.
That's where the Timberwolves are absolutely killing them. That's why the Timberwolves are going to win that
Gobert?
series.
Is that how you pronounce that name?
There's no resistance to Anthony Edwards. They get out and transition that team with the defense they play, the length they have. Mm-hmm. The Lakers can't match that.
Lakers lose in game 1. I guess we're not shocked by that, but it is crazy that they came right out of the Timberwolves came right out of the gate. They've had a very meh kind of last month of the season, and so we kind of wondered what this team was going to be doing. We were wondering if they were even going to end up in the play-in, right? And instead, you've got a team now that's kind of hitting a good stride, and they go in game 1 in LA and they win that ball game, and Anthony Edwards is the best player on the court right now. That's with Luka, that's with LeBron.
100%.
It's crazy to say. But how old is he now? Because last year it was like, because he's 22 and a half, 23 maybe. He might be 23. He's the Logan Cooley of the
Logan Cooley
of the Timberwolves.
He's 23 years old. Yeah, he's 23.
So
dominating.
Anthony Edwards is the best player right now in that series, and that's with 2 bona fide top, probably 25 players when it's all said and done.
Here's the thing: he wasn't even their top scorer in the game. Jaden McDaniels was.
Yeah, because you know what? You start to try to give all that attention, and why not dish it to Daniels?
Everybody else that makes them better. Julius Randle's an interesting addition to that team. That, why did they trade Cat? Why did that team made the Western Conference Finals last year? Well, it's worked out well for them and the Knicks. It's one of those good trades. But it actually unlocks Naz Reid to come off the bench. He played 31 minutes off the bench, 23 points, 5 rebounds, 2 blocks. It worked. They tweaked some things and they got better by doing it. I told you that I think that the 2 best teams in the West are a 6 seed and a 7 seed. Mm-hmm. I believe the Minnesota Timberwolves can go to the finals.
Well, just like we thought, by the way, just like you had on paper, Ty Jerome carried the Cleveland Cavaliers.
You should have done a test. Say, hey, big game from Ty Jerome, and ask everybody listening right now, do you know who he plays for?
What's that game show they did on Saturday Night Live that Bill Hader would host? What's my name? I scored 28 points in game 1 against the Miami Heat, shooting 64% from 3. What's my name? Hey, you.
What's that name? That's right.
Do you remember that one? It's like, yep. I was a bridesmaid at your wedding. I've been your wife's best friend since we were little. What's my name?
Norman the Doorman.
Hey, you. Oh my gosh. Yeah, 28 points from Ty Jerome, by the way. 28 points.
Played at Virginia, by the way.
Yeah, of course he did. Shot 64% from the 3, shot 60% from free throw. So you don't see that stat a lot, do
That
you?
is odd, but it's a new world we live in the NBA.
But you know what? Again, when teams are going to focus on Donovan Mitchell, and
Who still had 30, by the way.
he still had 30 himself, like it's insane. But you know, he was only, I think he was like 2 for 8 from, or 2 for 9 from 3 or something like that. So I get it.
How many times did we see Donovan Mitchell shoot like that
Oh,
and
yeah.
still have a huge impact?
Of
on the
course,
game?
of course.
He was 11 of 19, so he made more than 50% of his shots. He just didn't shoot as well from 3 as he'd like.
Right.
Sam Merrill, by the way, 6
How many?
points, 2 of 4 from 3.
Of course.
24 minutes for Sam in a
I
playoff
love
game.
it. I love it. Look, and he could have a ring on the finger. Wait, does he already have one?
He already does. He was with the Bucks when they won it.
That's right. Him and Elijah Bryant.
Yes.
Didn't Elijah Bryant get a ring
He did.
too? Yeah. I love it. So that'd be pretty dang cool. Get your second ring. Sam Merrill just quietly becoming one of the best NBAers to come out of the state of Utah ever. Phenomenal. Love it. What else? What else stood out to you in this NBA playoffs here, JJ? Is it the Thunder winning by 50+ in Game 1? I don't know what you're going to get out of Game 2. It's probably not going to be a 50-point win, but because I don't know how long Ja Morant can sit by and watch this kind of thing happen, but the Grizzlies don't even have a freaking coach.
The Grizzlies are a mess. They don't have a shot. I think that Nuggets-Clippers series is going to go 7. That first game was great. Jokic is the best player on the planet, but James Harden still has it, guys. I think we want to wish James Harden away for some reason because there's just a lot of things I don't think that people really like about his game, the way he plays. It feels like he's cheating the system. But the dude wins. He's made the playoffs every single season of his career. And this Clippers team's really good. Now, it's crazy to think that a team with James Harden and Kawhi and everything they have could lose in the first round again, but it's a real possibility. That Nuggets-Clippers series I really like a lot. Knicks-Pistons will be interesting. The Knicks won that first game. The Pistons are one of those young teams we look at with a lot of young talent. The Jazz hope to be in the position the Pistons are in today here in 2 or 3 years. But I think that the Rockets-Warriors series, I really like the Warriors from the beginning. I said I think the Timberwolves are going to beat the Lakers. The Thunder will roll the Grizzlies. Cavs are I really look forward down the line to a Cavs-Celtics Eastern Conference Finals. Wake me up when that happens in the East. Until then, I'm not really focused or worried about the East, but that Cavaliers-Celtics series is going to be great. And the West is really compelling. I like that Nuggets-Clippers series. I think it's going to come down to 7.
When do we find out about the NBA awards? Is it right before the finals?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I can't remember. It's usually around then, I thought. But by the way, they've revealed all of the finalists for the big awards. Let me see here.
They have announced the finalists.
We've announced the finalists of so you've got Jokic and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Those are the only 2, right? That are listed as finalists for the MVP.
That is correct. Only 2. How about that?
That's
That tells you a lot.
If Nikola Jokic wins his 4th MVP, what are we talking about with this guy long-term legacy-wise? Is he become a top
10
5?
great, yeah.
A top 5 guy? Do you think he's a top 5 all-time guy?
Jokic, I don't know if he can get top 5. He'd have to exceed some of those guys. But numbers-wise, stats-wise, he's in the conversation.
He'd be the 3rd player ever.
There you go.
LeBron, Bill Russell,
We'll start going
and
through.
Nikola
if you're
Jokic.
gonna put a top 5 together, who are you keeping out to put Jokic in? I can't do that yet. But top 10, very few players in NBA history have his resume.
All right, so
A
who do you-
championship, multiple MVPs, very few. The numbers he's put up, the triple-doubles, all that stuff, very few players in NBA history have been able to do what he's done.
I saw somebody tweet out yesterday. I think it was yesterday because when the finalists came out, people were talking about. You have this SGA versus Nikola Jokic. Back and forth. I don't think you could go wrong with a guy like with Jokic winning his 4th MVP. I know it feels like rare territory that it's almost sacrilege to put him next to LeBron and Bill Russell.
You'll get a lot of the
so
analytics
early.
haters coming at you.
And
Not about you can't vote on. You vote for the best player, all that kind of stuff. But what the Thunder did this year, Alex, with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander running the show,
bonkers.
Nobody expected them to be that dominant. And when you win the West by 14 games, that means something. Personally, I would have voted for Shai because of that.
The voting's already done, right?
It is done. Those are the finals. So Giannis is also a finalist.
Okay.
But I do think that Jokic will end up edging out SGA. But I would have voted for SGA because of the dominance, because of the team success. The Nuggets won a championship 2 years ago. They should have been better in the regular season.
Yeah.
It's a regular season award, remember
By the
that.
way, yeah, I was going to say that was the year that he didn't win MVP in the last 4 years, right?
Right.
So, there you go. Let me see here. So, Wembanyama is in the mix for Defensive Player of the Year, I guess. Well, he's ineligible.
He didn't
get enough games.
Get enough games.
Yeah, you know what? You better play more games.
I can't believe Draymond Green's in the top 3.
You know what? At some point, I wonder if people look back on will look back on this era, because that's what I was going to say. Somebody tweeted out, like, there's just not the competition to win the MVP back in the day was so much deeper. And I thought, I don't know, is it? Is it really? Just because you can you have the ability to throw out the history of who the people were who were in the MVP races between 1985 and 2005, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, when you put it like that and you say, well, give me a top 5, who are you kicking out from the top 5 to put Jokic there? I think over time you could, but this is the...
Would you put Jokic ahead of Steph?
Would you put Jokic ahead of Bill Russell or ahead of Kareem? You know what I mean?
I can't do it.
Like, Kareem...
But maybe I need to take a deeper look at that.
Would Kareem only win 2 MVPs? Blah. How dare he? So, I don't, is Larry Bird in that top 5? Is Kobe kicked out? Because we haven't even said LeBron
it's such a hard
and MJ.
thing to do. And at this point, there's been so many years and so many players. It's kind of dumb, but it drives conversation.
Yeah, it does. All right. Well, at least give him one of those fun blazers that have the 75 on it. Come on.
Let's do that. We got a 100th anniversary coming up.
Oh,
here.
come on. Let's go. All right, we're going to take the break here. We'll come back. We've got more to go. We'll be breaking down, of course, all of the people who it currently sucks to be in the world of sports. So stay right here. We've got some sound out of Dallas. Finally, Nico Harrison decides he's going to break the seal on those microphones that he previously kept out. And now he's going to really say some stuff. And, boy, he didn't improve his situation. So stay here, 97.5 VKSL Sports Zone.
Basking in the sports misfortune of others to help make you feel just a little bit better about yourself. As JJ and Alex present,
yes, we got beat. We got beat badly.
It Sucks to Be You.
All right, people who it currently sucks to be. There's a lot of them in the world. Some sucks more than others to be those particular people at this moment. I don't know if there's anybody in the entire sports world, certainly not in the NBA, that it currently sucks to be right now. Well, you tell me, JJ. Is it worse to be Nico Harrison than anybody else in the NBA right now?
I think so.
By a wide margin, too, right?
He just looks like a total fool.
Well, it got worse because Nico Harrison made this small comment and decided that it would be sufficient to be able to explain kind of the things that are going on. Here's what Nico Harrison said about Luka and how, I guess, popular he was with the fan base there in Dallas.
Did know that Luka was important to the fan base. I didn't quite know it to what level, but really the way we looked at it is, if you're putting a team on the floor that's Kirry, Clay, PJ, Anthony Davis, and Lively, we feel that's a championship caliber team, and we would have been winning at a high level, and that would have quieted some of the outrage. And so unfortunately we weren't able to do that, so it just continued to go on and on.
Let me get this right, JJ. Not only were you not aware that I didn't know the fan base. I knew the fan base was. I knew they liked Luka. Didn't really know the extent that they liked him. Maybe if you would have, I don't know, looked around.
What a weirdo! How would you not understand?
There's
that?
one
You work
jersey
for the
these
team.
freaking cats are wearing all the time, and that is the number 77, right?
Isn't he like top 3 in jersey sales?
Yes. I think he's number 1 right now because
Makes sense.
as soon
He's
as
a Laker, yeah.
Right, as soon as he changed it over, then obviously they get a little bump too. It's so weird to say that. It's so weird to say that out loud. And I don't even think he did it I'm going to just in full disclosure, I didn't know that people liked Luka that much. That is insane. So
he's doing that on purpose. That's a shot at Luka. The second thing about what he said, he rolled out that lineup. If we had a lineup of Anthony Davis and Kirry and Clay and all those guys right off, okay. yeah, you would have had a championship roster. In 2017.
Oh, boy. Bunch of old guys. Hey, wait, play it for me again, Alex, because
Dude,
there was
what
something.
year does he think it is?
I know. There's something else.
You had Luka Doncic.
Not
he was going nowhere.
saying that I like the, by the way, I love the theory. I love the conspiracy theory that you're like, no, he did that on purpose just to take another shot. Like, actually, you weren't really that great. I knew the fans were attached to him, that drunken, chubby weirdo from Eastern Europe. I knew people liked him. I didn't know they loved him that much. A bunch of weirdos here who like that guy. But I want to hear it again because I think there was actually something worse in there that he said.
Did know that Luka was important to the fan base. I didn't quite know it to what level, but really the way we looked at it is, if you're putting a team on the floor that's Kirry, Clay, PJ, Anthony Davis, and Lively, we feel that's a championship caliber team, and we would have been winning at a high level, and that would have quieted some of the outrage. And so unfortunately we weren't able to do that, so it just continued to, go on and on.
It's like, no, if we would have had those guys together, I love the idea that, like, just things didn't work out for us. If we would have had those guys, and he takes Luka off of that list, by the way, and he had somebody who didn't take them to the NBA Finals last year, you add those names in there. I think that he really thought that he could list those names off and that we'd be impressed by the work that he's done.
Exactly. Right? He's insulting us now.
He starts to throw it out there, and he's like, let me list
I've been impressed in 2017, Nico. It's 2025.
Does that, by the way, is that the tone of a guy who is just like aggressively working to make sure that his team has got it together? No, of course not. This does not sound like a serious person.
No.
And the fact that the ownership there in Dallas, that he has kept his job, shows that he may be kind of being the fall guy for them and taking the fall for them, right? I guess. I don't know. What is it that the Dallas ownership wants? This guy? I don't think so. I really don't. I don't think so. But they have to wait, and they got to go, okay, let's wait for this thing. How long do you wait to fire Nico Harrison, by the way?
The ownership won't.
Why not? He made the worst move in sports history.
I have a theory on that.
Which is what?
He did what the owners wanted him to do.
That's what I'm asking.
And he's taking the hit for it.
So the owners are not aware that Luka Doncic sold that many jerseys. The owners are not aware that this group that they put together are not even close to being a championship caliber team.
Taking some of the things I've read. In fact, there was something that came out today that explained a lot of the inner workings of the Mavericks and how much tension there was between Nico and some other people that he got rid of that were all pro Luka.
Yeah.
There's that where he essentially wants to prove that all those people, that whole pro-Lucas, all those people were wrong, and he's right. But I think he's also got an ownership that didn't want to commit to a $250 million contract. And I think that's what, you take those two things together, and I think he found himself in a situation where he did exactly what he did. I don't think, if the owners were upset about this, they would have fired him already.
Yeah.
The owners signed off on the trade. The ownership came out publicly with him after the trade and gave him their full support. You can't go back now and say, yeah, just kidding. Because why? I believe they're involved in it. They signed off on the trade. It all starts at the top. We can blame Nico, and I don't think Nico's good at what he does, but your owners employ him. Your owners signed off on the deal. Your owners continue to support Nico. Otherwise, he'd been fired already. They're okay with this.
Who did Mark Cuban sell them? It was to the Allisons, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if he got out.
Owners.
Right. I don't know if he got out at the right time or if he just got out and it was the worst decision ever. I just don't understand it.
And he's radio silent. Mark Cuban has been about stuff.
Yeah, I mean, people saw.
And why he doesn't have any. He's a minority owner now. He doesn't have to be.
People saw his video of him shaking his head when they were saying fire Nico. It's just crazy. Yeah. What did he make off that deal, by the way? I don't know how much of the chunk of the ownership was, but I know
it was a lot.
I know it was the majority. But it must have been in that $4 million or $4 billion kind of territory, right?
He made $3.5 billion from selling his majority stake.
There you go.
$3.5 billion.
All right. There you are. Okay, let's take a break. We'll come back. When we do, hey, our guy Sly is going to join us. Stevenson Sylvester going to walk into the program and give us his thoughts on the spring game. Sly dipping in on the he had eyes on Devin Dampier. I want to know what's going on and what he did in that Forever 22 or the 22 Forever spring game, and get his thoughts on how that thing went
and
down.
I've got NFL draft questions for Sly. as well.
It's early, but it's this week. This is not going to be the first time we dip in with Sly over the next little while when we start talking about the NFL draft, especially. Stay here, 97.5 EKSL Sports Zone.